Greetings, my dear friends. The last few days have been intense geopolitical activity, whether it was in Alaska or in Delhi or even in Russia, in Moscow. What does this portend for India? How should India react? And what are the options available for India? I have with me Lavanya Vijay, who will help me in decoding all of this and putting across questions that would be very relevant as far as these issues are involved. I, as you are aware, am Commander Chakrapani, your Chax, your host, and let's get on with it.
Yes, hello, good morning, viewers. Greetings. I'm honored to be on this show hosted by Commander Chats. Yes, so let's start off with the much hottest topic of the day today. The whole world was waiting with bated breath for the Trump-Putin meeting that took off in Alaska. So please tell us what really happened in Alaska and who walked away with the gains and why.
Lavanya, that's an excellent question. Then to start the ball rolling, one must understand Alaska was preceded by the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war was preceded by the expansion of NATO despite promises to the contrary. NATO continued to expand from the 12 nations it started with after the Second World War, and there was an unwritten agreement between the then Soviet Union, which was breaking, and NATO, and they agreed that yes, if Soviet Union dissolves the Warsaw Pact, NATO will not expand. NATO broke this promise within months of Warsaw Pact getting dissolved. Thereafter, they included a number of countries from the ex-Warsaw Pact, and today the membership of NATO is already 30 plus from the 14 they started with. Russia undoubtedly felt threatened. This was like the equivalent of the Bay of Pigs for Russia when Ukraine decided or Ukraine expressed interest in joining NATO. If that happened, Russia would have missiles and NATO troops right at its doorstep, and all they needed to do was to drive through the steppe and find themselves in Moscow. This was an existential problem as far as the Russia was concerned, and they attacked Ukraine to just ensure this doesn't happen. A lot of water has flown down the Dnieper, down the river Moskva, and in Washington, but this ground situation remains that Russia seems to be winning the war. Russia is winning the war on ground. It is winning the war by the extensive bombardment it is doing using drones and missiles. NATO is running out of supplies. NATO is running out of people in Ukraine to fight the war. Ukraine is running out of supplies. The US manufactures approximately 600 interceptor missiles a year of the Patriot defense system. Ukraine fires more than that in just 1 month. The US has put in over $100 billion and returns are still not sure. NATO has put in significant billions, but on ground they are not winning. Therefore, Alaska. Therefore, the hype, and therefore this meeting between Trump and Putin. So let's see what happened in Alaska. Trump went there, created an expectation which was low-key. He started with that. He said, don't expect too much from this meeting. This is only getting to know. But just short of the meeting, he said, in case there is no agreement on ceasefire, there will be very tough sanctions. I will put sanctions on Russia. Then Putin lands in Alaska. Don't forget, there is an international warrant out for Putin. Yet, Putin lands in the US territory, in a US airbase, welcomed by a flypast of the B-2 bomber and the F-35s, a lot of aircraft on the tarmac, a red carpet. Well, he got a welcome which is reserved probably for very, very few people. There was talk and Putin left. Before he left, he went across to the cemetery and met with the Alaskan Russian Orthodox Church members, the clergy there, and rekindled their old ties with the Russian Orthodox Church. He also went to the cemetery and laid flowers at the 14 graves of Soviet airmen who died in the Operation Air Bridge at this place. So Putin in many ways walked away with a lot in his favor. The most important was the feeling of pariah which he might have had was removed. Putin gave to nothing, gave Trump absolutely nothing, no territory, no ceasefire, no nothing. Yet he gave Trump two golden opportunities. One, the opportunity of winning or getting recommended or actually getting the Nobel Peace Prize. And second, a great talking point when he said clearly, if you were the president of the United States when this war started, this war would never have happened. So those have been the gains for Putin and Trump.
Yeah, that was most informative. Really gathered a lot of knowledge from listening to what you said. Let's move on to India-China relations now. Ever since Trump has imposed this 50% tariff on India, we find that China's cozying up to India. What is your take on this?
You know, Lavanya, this is very closely intertwined with India. Don't forget, whether it was Scott Bessent or it was so many others who said, we have imposed tariffs on India only to arm twist Russia into coming to the negotiation table. That was the objective. Now, why was China not sanctioned or tariffed? Please understand, tariffs started with China. The tariffs went as high as 145%. But then suddenly Trump realized that China has a big foot on his tail, the rare earth magnets. Without the rare earth, the US electrical EV car manufacturers were in dire straits. Same with the defense manufacturers. They're all required in these places, and China was refusing to give it to them. So therefore, the US did what Trump does best, which is called taco. Trump always chickens out. He chickened out and removed those tariffs and said, okay, we have the tariffs in place, but I am giving you a 90-day grace period, which is also extended by another 90 days. So now why India? India has an image of being a nice, polite, decent country which follows rules and regulations and can be arm twisted. Don't forget, Trump did exactly that in his last tenure when it came to Iranian oil. We were importing significant Iranian oil. Over 12% of our oil came from Iran because Iran was selling us cheap. But Trump decided that he has to sanction Iran oil, and we accepted that and stopped buying Iranian oil. But that was in the year 2018. This is 2025. India is no longer what it was at that time. India also has developed, has got stronger, especially militarily. And don't forget, since 2022, India has already started looking for alternatives. We've signed pacts with Guyana, with so many other countries for oil. As far as when the Minister of Oil and Petroleum and Oil said, Hardeep Puri, he said we have pacts with over 40 countries for oil. We've started looking for oil within our own country, and there has been a major discovery in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So that has also helped India in becoming more firm. So Trump initially started with 25%. This is despite the fact that there was negotiations going on, and it was believed the negotiations have concluded and everything was done. Trump was to only announce. Then came Operation Sindoor. In Operation Sindoor, is my belief, personal belief, that India did something which the US never expected. The Noor Khan air base was struck, and Noor Khan was the place where the US kept its own nuclear weapons so that it can strike against or threaten Russia. These weapons came in during the Second World War, after the Second World War, during the Cold War period, because the US wanted to twist the tail of USSR, and it positioned weapons in two places, Pakistan and Germany. That is why you realize every time Pakistan did whatever it did, Pakistan was always bailed out by the US. Because Pakistan was hosting nuclear weapons of the US. The Noor Khan Air Base was controlled to a large extent, one section of it, by the US. They had the command center there. That command center was hit. The entrance to the Kirana Hills nuclear facility was hit, and it is rumored that over 35 US personnel were killed in this place. That is what made US suddenly flip. Then came the ultimate insult as far as Trump is concerned, and he realized that India was not giving him the credit for stopping the war.
The war. Yeah, he wanted all the credit to
He
himself,
wanted
or at least part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then came, well, not the icing on the cake as far as Trump is concerned. He made a phone call to Prime Minister Modi when he was flying off from Canada after the G7 summit. And he wanted Modi to come and have lunch with him. At that lunch, he already had clandestinely positioned Munir. So he would have had Modi on one side, Munir on the other side, and say, look, I have made peace with them. Modi did not give him that opportunity. It became an ego issue. And that ego issue is what has, in many ways, jettisoned 25 years of hard work in making India-US relations come to where they were in 25 hours. That here China is sensing an opportunity. Let's take a look at China broadly. What is China's situation today? China is a country where people say its economy is 17, 19 trillion. My opinion is not even 10 trillion. It's probably less than that. They say Chinese economy is growing by 5%. But there are Chinese newspapers, including South China Morning Post, which say China is likely to go into depression. How can your economy grow by 5% and you're going to depression?
I know.
Right? Then you have unemployment, over 25%. You have inflation. You have facility, you have a factory, production capacity, no orders. The Chinese Communist Party had signed a deal, no, not actually a deal, it was a compact, non-written agreement that the Chinese people will hand over their liberty to the party, and in return the party will ensure their economic prosperity. That economic prosperity is not happening. Trump's tariffs are actually hitting China. China needs India. We don't need China.
Right.
Which is why China is doing so many things for India. It says, I will let go of all restrictions on fertilizer, on magnets, on the tunnel boring machines. And Wang Yi declared that we have already sent out the first shipments. That means that already shipments have started even before he came here. Why? These are things that he has not offered to even America. Why is he doing it to India? My view, the primary reason is Chinese economy and it is failing. The second reason is the SCO summit. Prime Minister Modi is to go for the SCO summit. And he goes to the SCO summit. China, for it is a loss of face if either Modi doesn't come or he says some things which could be interpreted as not friendly to China. What it is scared of is Modi invoking Taiwan or Dalai Lama and Tibet.
Right. That angle is also involved. True.
Absolutely. So that is the second scare. The third scare is if Chinese economy has to grow, he has to sell. He's already burned bridges with the US. Europe doesn't have the capacity to absorb Chinese goods. Russia has a limited market. Finally, the number of people there are small.
Obviously.
The only place where he can sell is India.
India.
That is why he's saying all of it. He's making lots of tall promises where they will never happen in reality. China is becoming as transactional or maybe worse than even Trump. That is what is happening with us.
Let's talk about Taiwan also. That's also a tricky issue between USA and China. So what is your take on that? About Taiwan?
See, Taiwan is a breakaway republic, if you will, from China. When the Mao took over China, Chiang Kai-shek escaped to Taiwan and set up the Republic of China, RIC,
Okay.
in Taiwan. They declared themselves independent, and after Chiang Kai-shek's death, they said we are democratic. They have their own passport, they have their own rules, they have their own laws, and some countries do recognize it. For China, its ultimate goal is reunification with Taiwan, even if by force.
Okay. Yes.
China has a problem. It has a very badly failing demography. They say China is about 1.44 billion. My view, it is less than 1.2 billion.
Okay.
For this, there is a Chinese writer who speaks about it. I keep forgetting his name. Frankly, I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah, right.
He has correlated with 2 or 3 major things. One, he says, let us look at the number of perambulators, prams that have been sold in China.
Okay.
The number of prams are down by more than 50%.
Okay.
If 50% drop in prams, that means no babies. If no babies, then
Yeah, they're having an aging population.
aging population. Then he looked at kindergarten admissions.
Okay.
And the number of kindergartens that are running in China, they have dropped by more than 50% again.
Oh my God.
So no children.
No children.
The Chinese are not getting married,
Hmm.
and they have a problem. Therefore, China has a very small window. A window from about 2026, 27 to about 2030, where they can take over Taiwan. After 2030, Chinese population will be such that it cannot have the manpower to take over Taiwan.
Okay.
Right now, they are not militarily capable.
Hmm.
So therefore, they are preparing for it. The US has a bigger problem here. US has promised a lot to Taiwan. It is arming Taiwan. But like I said, US has a problem with respect to weaponry, ammunition, missiles, because its capability to produce is limited. Or it's finite. It will not call it limited, it's finite.
Right.
Bulk of this is being used left, right, and center by Ukraine.
Yes, I know.
And therefore, US is, and then to add salt to the injury, you had the Iran-Israel war which happened, and a fair amount of weapons got used there.
I know. True.
The US is sitting on less than 30% of its war reserves. It doesn't have the ability to go and fight in Taiwan. China is looking at what happens in Ukraine with Russia and see if US will do something to Russia, then it may do something to itself, or it may get a free pass.
Okay.
That is why Taiwan is worried. And not just Taiwan, because if China attacks Taiwan, don't forget the next will be Japan and South Korea, Philippines. These are all very, very concerned. And now you start correlating when Prime Minister Modi goes to Beijing, actually Tianjin for the SCO summit. He goes from there to Japan.
Okay.
Japan is also smarting under sanctions from US.
Yes.
Philippines, we already had their president come to India, and there are deals which have been signed, which are going on. So you can see there are major steps that are happening, and India is trying to close multiple loops here.
So very, very interesting times, I must say, ahead. Another thing that has happened is this Wang He, foreign minister of China, he was supposed to visit Pakistan. So did he actually visit, or did it get cancelled? Not very much is heard about this in the news. So what do you feel? Did the visit actually take place, or was called off in the last minute?
Lavanya, it took place.
Okay.
Now, Wang He, like all Chinese, is dual-faced.
Okay.
After the meeting with Ajit Doval and Jaishankar, The Chinese media went to town saying that India has accepted the one China policy. India had not.
Okay.
The Indian Foreign Ministry had to come up with a clarification to say we have not accepted and our stand remains the same. It didn't spell out what the stand is. It says our stand is consistent with what it was in 2011, which was the last time we said one China policy. We have not said one China after that.
Okay.
Then Wang Yi did another subterfuge. He didn't go to Pakistan initially. He went to Afghanistan.
Oh, I see.
In Afghanistan, he met the Taliban and called Ishaq Dar to Kabul
Okay.
and met up with Ishaq Dar in Afghanistan.
Oh.
So there he said, look, I am being very responsive to your sensitivities. I am not going to Pakistan immediately.
Oh, I see.
From Kabul, he came to Pakistan.
Okay.
And from Pakistan, he's gone back to China.
Oh.
So this has been the typical Chinese method of doing things, and which is why I keep saying you cannot trust the Chinese.
Chinese at all, never ever. Now, post these 50% tariffs that have been imposed by US on India, we've seen India getting involved in a lot of high-level diplomatic meetings and negotiations. One took place in Delhi, and quite recently, yesterday, another one took part in Russia. Do you feel India is on the right track? Is it doing enough, or should it do more?
See, my belief is these tariffs are not hurting India.
Okay.
Let's look at numbers. Our total exports are a little over $850 billion. 850. How much are we exporting to the US? About 84, 85 billion. 10%.
Okay.
Out of this 10%, 46 billion is tariff free. These are pharmaceuticals, electronics, mobile phones, all those things that the US needs, it has kept it tariff free, including diesel, petrol and aviation oil, aviation fuel, which India is exporting to the US. Same Russian oil, same companies are doing it and they are sending it to US. So that is tariff free. The rest of it is tariff. Out of the rest of the tariffs, the biggest hit will be in jewelry and gems and textiles. They count to about 20 billion, give or take, which means less than 5% of our total exports. So it's not going to hurt us much, right? We already have alternatives for the gems. So UAE and Canada, if you please, is saying, send it to us. We will rebrand and sell it. Japan is willing to accept all our textile exports. Because what doesn't go to US will go to Japan, and Japan is importing over $26 billion of textiles. Our contribution there is not even 100 million. So we have a lot of scope to increase in Japan. Right? So I don't really see it is going to matter so much. But what is the problem for India are basically three simple things. One, agriculture. In agriculture, our input costs compared to the US are significantly higher. Because we have smaller farms and we do not use GM, genetically modified seeds. That is what is happening in the US. For them, production costs are much lesser. They can dump it here. Then what happens to our farmers? The second is with dairy. For us, milk is sattvic, it is holy. But in the US, the cows are fed with a non-vegetarian meal. So for us, it becomes a religion-based issue. The third are the small and medium sector industries, especially leather, textiles. Here we have a fair amount of employment. So therefore, we can't afford to have these industries opened up for the US. So that is our red line. Now, do you think we have no cards on our side, or we don't have any leverages? Don't forget, there are 1,600 global capacity centers in India for US companies. If we start with, and they manage everything for the US, whether it is the Amazon's just-in-time delivery, or it is the red lights or the traffic system in New York, or it is anything to do with electric power generation and distribution, we are doing it from India.
We are doing everything, yes. Absolutely.
We in the non-fabrication space of semiconductors, India is a global power. 20% of all non-fab happens in India. It's a big number.
Of
Right.
course, yes.
And don't also forget that we are exporting pharmaceuticals to them. We have not put, we can also put reverse tariffs
Yeah,
on
reciprocal on them.
reciprocal. We say, no, we are not putting any tariff on you. We are putting tariff on the pharmaceuticals that are going to you. That price goes up, and the US cannot afford pharmaceutical prices going up.
Yes, yes.
The US cannot afford, we are this linchpin of its Indo-Pacific policy. Their strategy is based on India. Their containment of China is based on India. So there are a number of leverages that we have. We have also not taken into account, don't forget, we have Google, Meta, Facebook, WhatsApp, all of them who are operating in India. They generate profits from their operation. These profits are repatriated tax-free. We had proposed a 5% digital tax, but we had kept it in abeyance because these discussions with US were on for this. This 5% is $40 billion.
But somehow India has been negotiating with US for a long time, for the past 6 months. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to come to any conclusive agreement. Whereas other countries who negotiated much later on, they've sort of got into some proper agreement which is more conducive to them. So where do you think is the lack in it?
See, which country has got conducive agreement for themselves? European Union has just prostrated in front. European Union has promised we will increase our defense budget to 5%. We will procure all arms from you. We will invest 700 or 800 billion dollars in the US, of which 90% of profits these investments generate will be left in the US. They will buy 600 billion dollars of energy from the US, a price they will pay which is 3 to 4 times the price they are paying for the current gas they're getting from Russia. Look at Japan, identical. They have got themselves to 15% tariff, but what has Trump said? No, your 15% is over and above the baseline 15%, which means 30%.
30%.
Same with Vietnam, same with everybody else. So they are prostrated. We have not.
Brazil and India, he's
Correct.
really targeted.
True.
Others have somehow got away with it.
The reason why Brazil and India are not doing it is because our exports are not as big a percentage of our GDP as the rest of them. For India, our GDP, we are a consuming nation. We consume almost 70% of our products.
Right, yes.
So we are not very concerned. We can't be twisted. It is the opposite with Japan, Vietnam, Korea, Indonesia, Europe. They are exporting, they are export-led. China even. That is why India can stand out. And I think we are on the right path. This with Trump is, or with US, is a momentary thing.
You don't think it will work out against us in the long run?
No, I don't think so. What will happen is definitely India will become very transactional with the US and we will be transactional. The strategic partnership, in my opinion, is not happening as strategic partnership for some time now. But transactionally, we will continue to operate with them. We also need the US.
Yes, I know.
But with China, we have an adversary. With US, it's only a disagreement.
True.
We can't go to the adversary just because of a disagreement.
Yes. So my final question, Commander Chats, with this, what do you say, rising and ebbing of relations with the US post-Trump, what do you foresee the future will be like for India-US relations? We've had a fairly healthy relationship all these years, but suddenly it looks like Howdy Modi hasn't paid off very well. So what do you foresee?
Yeah, Howdy Modi has not played as it used to or as we thought it would. But all said and done, see, US is not our ally, or we will never be US's ally. We had reached a strategic partnership, but that's not there anymore. The US is not our enemy either. The US is not our partner also.
US has no permanent foes or friends is what I
Absolutely.
feel like.
Absolutely. But that is true for
Yeah,
everybody.
For every country.
Right. Well, the
Yeah.
only permanent thing is your personal permanent interest, not the
Interest.
geopolitical.
Yes.
China is being transactional by making overtures to us.
Mm.
We are being transactional with China. We will be transactional with the US. With Russia, we are going to be a little better than that because we have a long-standing partnership, relationship, which has stood the test of time. And Russia has been more or less steadfast.
Very reliable partner.
A reliable partner.
Through thick and thin, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we will have to start looking at who our real partners are. And my opinion, it is Israel and Russia. So they have stood through us
Yes,
thick and
yes.
thin.
Very true.
The rest are all fickle,
Yes.
and we'll have to be transactional with them.
So, thank you, viewers. It was wonderful. In me interviewing the Commander Chats, he's been a very good friend. I hope you all have a lot of takeaways at the end of this session.
Thank you very much, Lavanya. You made my day. It was a great pleasure. This was more like a conversation between two of us than anything else. And my dear friends, please share this video, like, comment, because these things make me feel very, very motivated. As always, till we meet again, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.